Plugins are an integral component in defining WordPress functionality and flexibility. They add features that don't natively exist in WordPress and allow us to incorporate third-party sites and services into our WordPress install. The sheer number of plugins available can be intimidating. There are thousands in the install pool, most of which you'll never need to use. Many of them are built for a very specific purpose related to a very specific product. There are also plenty of plugins that provide features for recognizable, common products and services, many of which you may want to use. It should be said that there are many more bad or incomplete plugins than there are good plugins. Pay close attention to the plugin's rating before installing. More so than that, read the latest reviews for the plugin, especially if they're referring to the version of the plugin you're installing, so that you may be aware of the issues other users have encountered. If you click the Plugins button in the WordPress dashboard, you'll have three options: Installed Plugin, Add New, and Editor. Installed Plugins allows you to see a list of all the plugins you have installed. You'll notice that there are two plugins installed in WordPress by default. Akismet is the premier anti-spam plugin for WordPress. It stops trackback spam, which is often used by spammers who link to your site from theirs. This does little for you because their sites are blocked as spam by search engines, but provides a link to the scam website in your comments. Akismet does require a subscription. It is free for personal blogs, but does cost some money for non-personal or professional sites. Using Akismet is highly recommended as it will keep many spammy comments off your blog. If your site is rife with spammy comments, visitors will assume that your site is just as spammy. Hello Dolly is the other pre-installed plugin. It only displays a lyric from Louis Armstrong's song Hello Dolly in the upper right of every dashboard page. Hello Dolly serves no real purpose, but many people assume that it was included as a blueprint for plugin developers in the early days of WordPress. Now we'll return to the plugin button, and this time we'll select Add New. The Install Plugin screen gives us the search box, a tag cloud of popular search terms, and links that allow us to upload our own plugins, useful for the custom plugins I mentioned earlier. View the featured, popular, and newest plugins, as well as plugins we've marked as favorites on WordPress.org. If there are any plugins with an available update, an additional link will appear that will show us what plugins need updating and allow us to update them at the click of a button. Each plugin you install may have its own settings. Those settings may either be found in the Settings menu or in the dashboard sidebar just below the Settings button. Some of them, especially the ones that reference third-party APIs, may require you to get an API key, which generally involves signing up for an account on a website and entering some information that distinguishes your site. There is a good chance that if you want to use one of these plugins that requires an API key, you already have an account. If not, this is a good example of why you should be careful about the plugins you should install. You should be careful to not overload your site with plugins as well. Only use the plugins that you really need to build the site you want. It's easy to get plugin happy and install plugins you don't need simply because they sound good. Remember that the more plugins you install, the slower your site will load because the reader's browser will have that much more to render and the extra processing that has to take place on the server. Using plugins effectively can differentiate your site from the rest. Do it well and your readers will respond well. Do it poorly and your site's reputation will take a hit.